H-Town has been on a tear, winning 10 straight games, Harden averaging 33 points per game. And don't look now, folks, but Houston is now the top team in the Western Conference, a half game ahead of Golden State. Stephen A., big deal or no big deal, Rockets are in first place?
To me, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal because the Golden State Warriors are in the Western Conference, and they're not fazed when they're on their game. They're not fazed by where they're playing. It doesn't matter what the confines are. Obviously, you can say it's a big deal if you're looking at the fact that the Houston Rockets wouldn't have to play a potential Game 7 at the Oracle, but that's the only argument that you can make. My attitude is that it wouldn't come to a seventh game in all likelihood if the Golden State Warriors are clicking on all cylinders. Certainly, I do not expect the confines of the Toyota Center in Houston to be such an impediment that it could potentially derail the Golden State Warriors. James Harden could derail them. Chris Paul could derail them. But home court advantage in Houston, listen, they've lost playoff games there before. And so the way I look at it, it's not that big of a deal.
I think it's a really big deal, actually. This is the first time that the Warriors haven't been in first place at this late in the season, since last year when San Antonio had the same record but owned the tiebreaker against Golden State in early mid-March. It was March 13th, something like that. The point is that at the time we were like, Golden State's got this. We're not worried about San Antonio. They got this. But what happened in the playoffs? Let's just remember, I know it's a tiny sample size. Kawhi Leonard was healthy for one half of one playoff game. They were beating the brakes off of Golden State for that half of the game. Do I think that means they would have beaten Golden State? No. Call it a 6-game series. But I didn't expect anyone to compete with Golden State last year. And the Spurs, I think, showed you with a healthy Kawhi, they would have at the very least competed. It would have been a healthy competition. They would have extended the series. I think we all pretty much agree about that. Let's call it 6 games. This Houston team is more talented than that San Antonio team. The thing about that San Antonio team is we looked and recognized my star system, right? 1 5-star player, Kawhi. Well, Houston's got 2. Houston's got James Harden and Chris Paul. That's 2 5-star players. That is 2 players in the same backcourt who like playing together, who complement one another, who are both MVP caliber players. So if you look at San Antonio and go, last year if they were healthy, that would have been a little more problem than we thought. And this is the next time someone's overtaken first place from the Warriors since then, and it's a more talented team than San Antonio. I think this is a big deal.
Like I said, if you're talking to me about the talent of the Houston Rockets, I have no problem with it. If you're talking to me about how home court advantage is going to make a difference, there are plenty of times where they show up on their home court and they don't show up and play the kind of basketball that they're capable of playing. All I'm looking for is I like the fact that they acquired Joe Johnson. That's a brother that can hit some big shots in waning moments. He's a guy that used to play for Mike D'Antoni back in his days in Phoenix. Joe Johnson, even though he's not what he used to be anymore because of age and attrition, he could still get some things done for you. So you added him to a Chris Paul, to a James Harden, to an Eric Gordon, to a Trevor Ariza, to a Ryan Anderson, and a Clint Capella. You could potentially have 7 guys averaging in double figures. But I'm looking at Houston, and a lot of times what people don't pay attention to about this squad, particularly in the James Harden era, is that when you expect something from them, particularly on their home court, they don't always deliver. Yep. It's when they're on the road and under duress and the expectations are minimal, they rise up and remind you that they're not someone to be taken lightly. But home court advantage breeds expectations in some instances. And I think in Houston's case, it has the potential to work against them. I like them as an underdog. What I don't like is them being a number 1 seed, having home court advantage, elevating a level of expectations, because I think then is where the struggles may come into front.